Woo.
Let me put TikTok up here. All right, we are live. We are live.
Okay, okay, all right. All right.
Okay, yeah, but just let me know on YouTube we on. So we on YouTube. We'll
All right.
get in a minute or so to chime in before we jump right ahead and get started. And then I'm gonna also put the TikTok up so they could see it. They won't be able to ask questions though. So good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Patrice and Chuck, the finance man here
All right, all right.
on
Okay.
this Thursday evening to go over the second part of study hall for you guys that Chuck did last week for P Valley, right? And the title was P Valley: What You Don't See.
Yeah.
Uh, so Chuck broke it down for us very, very well last week regarding what we don't see, right? Watching the show and kind of do. Are you gonna do a quick recap on that, Chuck, or are we
Uh,
going to the next thing this week?
I can, yeah. I can do a quick recap, yeah. Uh-huh. Whenever
Okay,
you're ready, yeah.
I'm ready.
I'll do a quick recap. Okay, quick recap from last week was the purpose of this presentation is to get people to look at things through a different lens. So Patrice and I were talking about P Valley. I really hated P Valley at the very beginning because I didn't understand the jargon, I didn't understand the language, and I didn't understand the colloquialisms and all of that, but I stuck with it and I started watching it through my lens, which my lens is a financial lens. I look at everything through that type of um, view site because that's who I am. I'm the finance guy. I'm looking at things that other people are not looking at. And I realized something that when I'm looking at P Valley, it makes sense because after all the smoke and mirrors and all the stripping and all the sex and all the other stuff, there's a message behind that is the real message when it comes to P Valley, and it's about gentrification. So what we're doing is we're showing you guys some things that you might have missed that when you go back and watch, and I went back and watched a few episodes that I didn't see the first time. I'm like, wow, okay, these are the things that we're doing. We're helping you train your brain to see things through a different lens. It's like a pair of glasses. You can see something and you can see one thing and then put on another pair of glasses and see something totally different. We're not saying that we're not discounting your view of the way you see things, but because what we do, Patrice and I, when it comes to the lab and when it comes to financial literacy, we want you to put on the lens right now to look at certain things through a financial aspect with the financial understanding of what's really going on so that you can understand how can you take some of these lessons and learn from them so that when you are out there doing business you can see the game and you can see whatever's going on and protecting yourself. Those are one of the things that we talk about when it comes to financial literacy. That's the third pillar of financial literacy when we teach. Number one is pay yourself first. Number two is live within your means. Number three is protect yourself. And number four is send your money out to grow. These are things that we can watch and we can learn from, and we can see the game or the trick or the whatever it is. And when we see that happening to us, we know what to look for and how to protect ourselves. And that's what it's all about, protecting ourselves. So there are a lot of things in P Valley that are going over the head because people are not paying close attention. And it happens so quick. One of the things Patrice and I talked about was you can see a dance scene and the dance scene can last 5 minutes. That's a long time when it comes to Hollywood. That's a long time when it comes to screen time. But the real meaning, the quick scenes, they last for like 10 seconds,
Right,
15 seconds. And
right.
that's the part that that's the part where you gotta pause. You're like, wait a minute, hold on. What just happened? Let me rewind. Did someone say that? Wow, now that's what we're doing. We're looking at the true meaning behind P Valley from my version so that we can look at it and then train our brain to be like, okay, what else am I watching that I'm not missing? Or what else that I'm watching that I am missing? and these are the things that we're doing. So that's the recap of why we're doing what we're doing. And we're only how many more we got, Patrice?
Well, we're doing this week, and then we'll probably do 2 more sessions, so it's 4 total.
2 more sessions. Okay, good. Now here's the thing. I want you guys, if you're on whatever platform you're on, hit the like button, hit the share button, do all of that, because it helps with the information and data and the analytics for us to decide if we're going to continue this. If you guys are doing what you're supposed to do on your side, letting us know what you want, we can continue this with a whole different other series or a movie. So we just want to know that we're giving you the content and the understanding that you desire. So if not, you got to let us know, and that's by hitting the like button, hitting the share button, hitting the comment button, letting us know that you're learning something. So that's what it all boils down to. Is that cool, Patrice?
Yeah. So the only other thing that I want to go over with the recap is a little bit more into it. Like we kind of went over how what's a couple of things? Like, okay, like we talked about how Uncle Clifford, right?
Right.
Pretty much ended up having the paint, but then had the debt, right? It was 50 something thousand. I don't remember the exact dollar amount, right? Let's just say 53,000, 54,000, right? He ended up having
50 stacks.
50 stacks.
Yeah, 50 stacks.
50 stacks. We're just gonna say 50 stacks, right? So he had this tax debt, right? So this is something that we're talking about, you guys, like money management, right? So clearly Uncle Clifford has a problem with money management, right? So if he has this business that's making all of this money and they throwing all of these stacks around every night or every other night, right? How is it that Uncle Clifford was $50,000 in the hole with his company, right? With this business that means so much to him, that means everything to him, but he allowed it to go into a tax lien sale, and then Autumn, or who we're calling Haley, right?
We don't know her name.
We don't know her real name. She told us it was Haley, right? But we don't really know that for sure. But Autumn, Haley, whatever you want to call her, right? But she came in and saw the value. It was the reason why she ended up coming in and purchasing P-Valley from the auction at the dollar amount. We kind of talked about that, how she was listening to the young guy that she deals with, the brother. I can't think of his name right now. The one that she's been having this dance with all 2 seasons, right? The lawyer, right? She was paying attention. Remember how in the club she shared with him, like, you need to set up a a shell company, right? So things like that, you guys. So when we're talking from a financial standpoint, these are the kind of things that we're talking about, like the things that are not really being paid attention to. Like he said, it's a quick scene and then on to the next. So I just kind of wanted to give that little bit of the recap of what was some of the stuff that we talked about last week. And then now Chuck is going to go. I think you went over like the first 4 episodes of season 1.
Yes.
Right. All right. So now he's getting ready to go more into the next couple of episodes. And we're still in season 1 right now. So back to you, Chuck.
Okay, cool. So one thing that I didn't touch on, and I'm going to touch on that real quick, is the identity theft and the wire fraud. But I talked about the wire fraud, but the identity theft. So we're going to talk about that. So we're going to go to, we did 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to go to number 5, episode 5. And I call this the glorification of opulence, illusions, because it's awesome. When you first turn on the scene, the episode, there is a woman that's going through a divorce, and she's sitting at the bar and she's ordering, she's drinking, and then she's at the table and she's spending her divorce settlement. All this money on the table. Now, mind you, I noticed that after rewatching and looking at fine points when it comes to P-Valley, there are 2 P-Valleys. There's the P-Valley in the day, during the day, where there's the poor P-Valley. It's dirty, you see nothing, but at night is the opulent P-Valley. It's amazing, all the money raining down from the sky, all the stacks of money, and I'm just confused on where this money goes at the end of the day. Because when you look at the strippers, you look at their lifestyles, they are poor. They are very poor. Some of the homes they're in, the cars that they're driving, it's like, wait a minute, what are you doing with your money? So it's like you got these quote unquote stacks you're getting, but what are you doing with it? This is what we're talking about when it comes to financial literacy and understanding how money flows through us, but we were never taught how to manage money. This is why Clifford is losing the pink, because it was mismanagement of funds, getting these loans. And if you look at, as you go deeper, it started even before Uncle Clifford because the grandmother took out loans. So he was trying to cover that also. So all of these things that are happening and not understanding money management and understanding how to take care of your business. So I just want to share that with you. But the funny thing about that scene is at the very end of that scene, the woman is inside of the what's the room called? The VIP room.
Champagne room. Was I like to say?
Champagne room, the VIP room, right? I'm trying to act like I never went to one before, but yeah, the VIP room. And the funny thing is, Mississippi is with her, and Mississippi is trying to tell her something, a real touching moment, but the woman passes out. And there's a cut. You got to watch it close because there's a cut because Mississippi cuts her eye to the money, and she has a girlfriend there, and she's like, "Girl, let's get this bag." The next scene is the next morning. The same woman is laid out on the floor, drunk as a skunk. So they're escorting her out. But where is all the money that was on the table the night before? It's gone. You see what I'm saying? So there's something going on with the mentality of us as a people not understanding the value of money. Maybe that's what it is. Patrice, maybe we need to look at that. Understanding the value of money because we are devaluing our money by pouring it and giving it away and not understanding how to manage our money. So I just wanted to pass that to you. So the funny thing was, like I said, you had Mississippi given this nice touching moment, you know, girl, you're special, you're going to meet somebody. And when as soon as the lady passes out, there's that cut, that hood mentality, cut eye, be like, oh, let's get that bag. Now that was funny. That's the beginning scene. So now moving forward, Mayor Ruffin is behind the pink getting the 14-day eviction notice. He's pushing to get the pink because he knows that if he doesn't, if this deal doesn't go through, he's not going to get paid and he's not going to get the park named after him. He's trying to do something quote unquote better for Chucalissa. So just remember that he's behind that. And what a lot of people have to look at again is there's a young lady that's working for Mayor Ruffin. As you watch the same episode, you find out that she used to work at the Pink. She was a stripper. And they make a deal later on. I'm going to talk about that, but let's move forward.
I forgot about that part. Yeah.
Oh, you forgot, right? These are small points. So now, okay, so let's move forward. Okay, Mercedes is in jail, right? Because of the fight with her mom. Okay, Gidget, the white girl, she calls the white girl and she needs 2 stacks to get her out of prison, to get her out of jail. These strippers or these women, they're making phone calls. They're trying to raise 2 stacks. I'm like, what happened to the money the night before?
Money.
What happened to all that money? So now they're struggling to raise $2,000 to get a co-worker, a cohort, a friend, a mother figure out. I'm like, what is going on here? What? And now, mind you, this was the next day. So
right, this was the very next day because she had just went to jail that night where she was supposed to dance for her last dance.
So now, I want you to again the glorification of the opulence, the illusions, and right. You said something that was so profound. When we look at their home lifestyles, you see the poverty, but on Instagram and social media,
they
you see the opulence, and it's like, wow, what, you can't believe that stuff. And I want you guys to understand this. I created a video for myself, and I did not show any money. I did not show any cars. I did not show any of the quote unquote material opulence. All of my millionaire friends will not show you that. We're not into that. We don't do that. People who are flashing that, you have to be very careful and very leery of them. Because if they're showing out, that's the bait.
Yep.
My opulent friends, I don't want to use the term opulent, but my affluent friends don't want you to know that they're affluent. Because because next thing you know, what's going to happen? Somebody's going to try to hit him in the head. Somebody's going to do whatever. This is what it's all about. So I just want to share this with you guys to understand that. So now, so we got that. They're trying to figure it out. And what when they went to the bail bondsman, it came out to 5,000 because she had some tickets or whatever, whatever, whatever. So they couldn't get her out of prison because they just didn't have the money. So wanted to share that. Later on, girlfriend gets
because the money went up. They thought it was 2,000, but it ended up being even more because of the tickets they tacked on. Right?
Why did Haley get her out of prison though? If you guys watch it, why did Haley get her out of prison? Haley got her out of prison because she had tapped out on the amount of wire transfer that she could do. They stopped it, and they were like, "Listen, your family sent you all this money, and now we're stopping it." So Haley needed somebody else to help cover when it comes to the identity. That's where the identity theft comes in, because they were making fake IDs and they were driving throughout the state getting this money that Haley is actually funding, and she's stealing from her ex-boyfriend. So that's identity fraud. That's identity theft. I want you guys to understand this. So now what happens is
a lot of people do it. I'm glad you said that, because a lot of people do it, especially a bunch of hood people.
Yes.
That do it, right? But just because they do it, you need to understand the legalities of it. It's still identity theft. Anytime you're making up fake IDs and going across cities and states.
Yes, correct. And what happens is people have to understand is that there are certain laws in each state.
Yep.
Now understand that if you cross that state line, it becomes federal.
Yep.
Okay, got it? If you cross that state line, it becomes federal. But here's the thing: when it comes to the internet, you're doing business on the internet on a federal level. So you're thinking that you're at home, you have never left the state, and you're doing a loan with someone over the internet. Understand that if that wire hits another state, the feds are like, "Oh no, that's federal."
Yep.
That's federal. I just want you guys to know this. So
kids don't get grown-ups too, though. Let's be honest, because a lot of these grown-ups is doing it with these kids.
And they don't understand wire fraud. I mean, again, I want you guys to understand it. The feds, when they come, they got you.
Yep. They already got a case. It ain't no.
The feds come, they got you. And the thing about the feds is this: they're not talking about if you're going to prison. All they want to know is how much time you want to do. Am I correct, Patrice?
Yes, sir.
You're going to do time. The question is, are you going to do 2 years? Are you going to do 4 years? What are you going to cop to? Because that's the only thing. Because that, I mean, oh no, you going. So either you're going to give somebody up and you're going to do 1 to 2 months or 12 months. What are you going to do? What are you going to cop to? Because the thing is this: somebody's going to be holding that bag. Somebody's going to hold it back. So the question is, are you going to hold it, or are you going to give up the whole source? Let me tell you something. Patrice, you remember the incident with the PPP when people started ratting each other out? Because we're like, oh no, you going. So we're working out a deal. So I want you guys to understand that when we have to be very careful of some of the associations that we deal with.
For real.
So let me move forward. Okay. So I'm hoping you guys hit that, smash that like button, hit it, guys, do that, because we need to know that you guys are actually learning. Again, I have not seen anything that has gone into detail about P-Valley as we're doing now. Everybody else is talking about the fluff stuff.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to talk about the fluff stuff. We're going to talk about the lessons that we can learn from P-Valley. So I'm hoping that maybe one day, Patrice, maybe they'll see this and then they'll bring you and I. Be like, yo, let's get them up there.
Right. No one is talking about it from a financial standpoint. Thanks, guys.
Right, got it. So Clifford and Mayor Ruffin have a discussion. And what happens is Clifford came across a document that showed the disparate prices between Black companies and white companies. And Black companies were getting paid 50% less on their land and their businesses than white companies. That was a piece of paper that he came across that the nephew left at the Pink. See, what we have to do is understand that information is key. So I want you guys to understand that. When you're going into a deal, how much information do you know about what's going on and what's happening? So when you're looking at, probably there's a situation now when it comes to mortgages and refinancing, how Black families, their homes are being undervalued. Why? Because the Black pictures of the family are inside of the quote unquote house, or the realtor, the appraiser comes and sees that it's a Black owner. And what they do, they will appraise it at a lower, lesser value. I've seen situations where people had to take the Blackness out of the home and put European pictures and things like that, just so that the value can be at its true value. These are things that are going on. I want you guys to understand.
It's,
So,
it happened to me.
oh, it happened to you?
It happened to me when we were appraising my property in 2018.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yep.
I mean, these are things that when you wonder what's going on, I don't want you guys to be surprised. I want you to understand the game. So it's like, okay, this is the game they're playing. I'm going to beat them at their own game. That's what it all boils down to.
So Black families, do not have your pictures up in your house when you are looking to sell your house. Take everything out.
Purge it, make it vanilla. Is that the term? Make it vanilla. Be surprised. Yeah, and matter of fact, you know what? Get some European friends, bring them in. Be like, listen, and be on the listen. This is what I want, and have them represent you, because again, they look at you and they think that they're devaluing you by the color of your skin, and they think that you don't know the game. But we know the game. Why? Because we belong to the lab. We belong to the lab. We know the game. All right. So just wanted to share that with you. Okay. There's a line that the mayor references to Clifford. And he told Clifford, it's not my fault that you don't understand how to run a business.
I missed that one.
Yep. It's key. So now I want you guys to understand what happens is when it comes to business, and I haven't done the platform yet, but it's coming. When it comes to business, the question is, do you know how to run a business? If you know how to run a business, a lot of situations you will not be in, because if you did everything correctly and you're doing everything correctly, you're going to be able to sustain the lifestyle of your business and the lifetime of your business. Just because you have a business doesn't mean you know how to run it.
Right.
That's why you joined the lab. I keep pushing the lab. Got it. All right. So understand that. So at the end of the episode, okay, Haley makes the deal with Mercedes and they become friends. She pulls Mercedes out of prison. And mind you, it was 5 stacks, right? So she invests in Mercedes, pulls her out, lets Mercedes know what's going on, and said, I need you to get those IDs so we can go and we can get this money. And that's how the episode ends. She made an alliance with Mercedes. Now remember, they didn't like each other at all.
Right.
From the first episode.
Helped her out and put her on to some money.
Didn't like her at all. Understand that what we're looking at is the alignments and the communication and the people that you are connected to. Haley, you know what Haley is? And I understood this because I thought about it. Haley is a corporate raider. Got it? Haley is a corporate raider. If you know what a corporate raider does, that's what Haley is. She's coming in and she's stripping everything and she's getting the most value out of the pink, and she doesn't care about the employees. She doesn't care anything. There's an episode that just passed that's in season 2 where you understand why Uncle Clifford is so stuck on the pink, because he says that no one gave him anything. This is the only thing he has. And that's why he's so dogged about keeping the pink, because he has nothing else. And then the memories that are long, but see, he was born and raised inside of the pink.
Right.
I want you guys to understand that. So that's why he's so dogged about holding on to the pink. Haley is like, I don't care. You can move it, you can tear it down, you can rebuild it, but he has that sentimental attachment, that sentimental thing when it comes to the pink, which is understandable. I'm not saying it's not correct, but you also have to understand that If he was really that invested and that cared that much, he would have taken care of it. But if you don't have the skill set, and these are one of the things that I want you to acknowledge. I'm talking to the group out there. If you don't have the skill set, you want to make sure that you can get aligned with someone and you can make sure that these people can teach you the skill set. There's something called a SWOT analysis. These are things that you have to do when it comes to owning a business. What's your strength? What's your weakness? What's your oppositions? What's your threats or opportunities? And what are your threats? Strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. This is something that everyone should do for themselves, not for them business, for themselves. So now, every 6 months, I have to do a SWOT analysis. What's my strength? What's my weakness? What's my opportunities? What's my threats for me? And then I have to do it for my business. Then I have to do it for everything else. So these are the things that we want you to understand, because when you get around a community, we can help you see things that you can't see about yourself. Got it?
Yeah.
Just share that with you. So, okay, let's go to episode 6. Let's move forward, okay? That's when you find out that Uncle Clifford started behind the 8 ball. He's having a conversation with his grandmother about the history of that era, that section, and how they were pushed to where they were. And if you notice that when it comes to industry and when it comes to city planning, what they tend to do, they tend to push the seedy businesses on the outskirts, next to the water, next to the dumps, next to the sections that other people don't go to. And if you look at city planning, this is why you have Midtown. Midtown is famous, but when you push out on the outskirts, you get those seedy areas. And it was real big in Brooklyn, where there were certain sections that if you were in that section, you knew you were doing dirt. The cops knew you were doing dirt because
there's certain areas in Chicago or the surrounding suburbs. It's like,
you were there. There's a funny movie that Men in Black, and a little off topic. Men in Black. There's a scene in Men in Black where Will Smith, the scene pops up and he's in the alley, and all the recruits, they're shooting the monsters, and there's a little white girl in the middle, and they're shooting the monsters, and Will Smith is holding his gun. He's not firing, and then when they're done, he shoots the little girl, and they're like, "Why did you do that?" And he was like, "Well, I see all these monsters in a dark alley. What's that little girl doing in there? She's the one that shouldn't be there. So therefore, she's the one that's the monster. Everybody else is the same." These are things that you gotta look at stuff and be like, you know what, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I gotta give props to my nephew. My nephew taught me something yesterday, and he said, "Uncle Chuck, if you see 2 people walking together and one is a crackhead, you don't think that the other one is not a crackhead. You're looking at 2 crackheads." And it makes sense. We're talking about associations. We're talking about people we're talking about your group, your circle. So understand that when it comes to that, who's in your group, who's in your circle. So okay, you find out that grandma took out loans against the pink. And remember, her eyesight is kind of screwed up, so she didn't understand what she was signing. And all these things are going on. So he was started behind the 8 ball. But if he had joined the lab and if he had listened to Patrice, he had done things, okay, what would have happened is he would have been able to save the pink. And I just want to share that with you guys, knowing that what he didn't know and knowing where to get the information for him to become a better business owner and a better business runner. That's the key thing. Big L is the cook. That's the brother with the cigar and the cane. Big L has made a deal with the drug dealer, and I was trying to figure out how Big L was moving these drugs, but after rewatching it, what he's doing, he's stashing the drugs. Big L doesn't do drugs. He's stashing the drugs, so he's not selling it, but he's getting a cutoff for that. Again, more money, more money, more money. And according to that scene, Big L is getting $50K for each shipment. Again, where's this money going? Why is the pink in the situation that it's in? These are things that you have to ask, okay? Mercedes and Haley, they're pulling out the money out the accounts. Haley is teaching Mercedes how to hide money. And she's telling her this. But the scene is so quick, and Mercedes is brushing it off. And I'm like, you know what? She's teaching her exactly about offshore accounts and about Bitcoin. And Mercedes is making a joke about it. And I'm like, sometimes the things that we do, we have to listen and understand the lessons that's being taught. So, what we have to understand is that some of the people that we talk to, they may seem crazy, but you got to listen to the content of what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. And look and tap in and look into it sometimes.
There's something called the court jester. The court jester is the one that used to joke and make a lot of fun. But the court jester, if you listen to the court jester was always telling truth. So, that fool doesn't know what they're talking about. Yeah, okay. Gotcha. You got to understand what's going on. So you get into the history of Chucalissa. Now, the history of Chucalissa is it's neighboring on 3 different states. All of this is in episode 6. It's neighboring on 3 different states, and it has a major freeway. There's city planning. That's what they're doing. There's a scene in this episode where the woman that is the assistant to the mayor, she comes and she has a meeting with Uncle Clifford. And she says, this is what I've learned from just being in the room. And she talks about what they intend to do with Chucalissa, how they're going to build the casino, but there's some other things that they're going to build. But what has to happen is it has to be accepted, and the city planners and the boards and the charters, they're all doing deals undercover.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pass these things real quick, because remember, once these things are signed and put into quote unquote law, it's already done. So all of these deals are being made, and a lot of people don't know it. And you think about this when it comes to your particular area where you are, where laws are being passed, or the city, the councilors of the city and the city planners, they are creating certain things, and you're figuring out, how did this happen? It happened because you were not at the meeting and you didn't know what happened. You didn't know what happened. Why did they change this major street to a different name? I didn't know anything about it. Oh, that was in last week's meeting. That's already done. See, what we have to do is we have to look at, again, when it comes to business, especially if you have a business, especially if you have a brick and mortar business, if you are not part of that city planning, your business is going to fail. Because you have to understand what's happening with the traffic in your community, what's happening with what's being built in your community. So just imagine where you have a mom and pop store that has been involved in your family for 3 or 4 generations. That's a hardware store. But next thing you know, you find out that 2 blocks away, they're about to build a Home Depot. Think about that. How does that affect you? If you don't know that it's happening, and now you're driving down and you see Home Depot being built, you're like, what happened? How did that get here? You were not at the city planning meetings when that was done. This is why a lot of people get upset at Walmart, because Walmart has already done their deals, and next thing you know, a Walmart is being propped up, and you're trying to figure out what happened. Oh, 6 months, a year ago, that's already been in the plans.
Yeah.
So now you're trying to figure out your small business. How do you compete against a Walmart? And these are things that we have to look at when it comes to businesses. And when it comes to I guess what I want to point out is that you guys, if you're in a business or if you're planning a business, you guys are in the most opportune moment right now with things that are going on. They say that every moment is an opportune moment. It is, but there's a part of what's called protection. And you have to be able to understand, how can your business compete with others? How can your business compete with, again, the SWOT analysis? How is your business going to perform if there's someone coming in and they're going to undercut and undervalue everything that you're doing? These are things. Look at quote unquote Blockbuster. What happened to Blockbuster? Blockbuster did not change. And look what happened. They're closed. Netflix came in and changed the whole model. So we want to let you know about these things, because what happens is when we're watching these shows we're pulling and extracting lessons so that if you are approached with some type of issue or problem, you can go back and you can say, okay, you know what? I'm seeing what's about to happen. Let me move and make sure that I'm okay. I protect myself and I make sure that I do what I got to do to make sure that it comes to fruition, that I make sure that I protect everything that I've owned, everything that I've grown, and the whole thing. So that's
Let me chime in, Chuck, with the business part, with the business owners. If you, like you say, if you have a brick and mortar, you you have to really be thinking outside of the box. All right. If you have a brick and mortar, because one of the things that you should be looking at, if you are a business owner on here and you have a brick and mortar storefront, you should be a part of your local chamber of commerce, right? So
yes,
depending on your area.
yes, yes,
Yeah. So like when I was in Beverly, when my office was in Beverly, I was with the Beverly Chamber of Commerce. When my office was on 87th, I was with the Chatham Chamber of Commerce. So wherever you are at, type in Chamber of Commerce in your area. And there's going to be a bunch of different ones. And wherever your business is, you want to make sure that you're a part of that Chamber of Commerce. One, they have a lot of these conversations, what Chuck was just talking about, in the chamber of commerce with these business owners. Two, a lot of times, depending on the area, the alderman will be at one of these meetings that they have. Usually chamber of commerce meetings are at minimum usually once a month. Depending on your commerce, they may have more than one, but usually you can get in front of your alderman as well at these kind of events. I know the alderman was very heavy involved in the one that I was with in Beverly. And some of the ones in the city of Chicago, the aldermen flake out a little bit. But also, as a business owner in that particular area, you have the right to go and demand certain things from your alderman because your business is in that area or in that zone. So again, you can find out what's going on. Is there a Walmart coming? Is there a Target coming? Is there a big box store that's going to maybe affect you and your business and what you're selling? And you can have those kind of conversations and start voicing your vote and opinion before it happens. Excuse me. Versus like Chuck said, now you just see the Walmart sign and it's already here now. It's nothing that you can vote against at that point, right? And I know too for us, right? We always talk about it from a perspective of people of color, right? A lot of times when you're in the hood, sometimes you'll hear people talking and saying, well, the white people, they complain and they do this and they do that. They do. So we have to learn to get together and complain and say the same thing and not necessarily always complain, but it's really just getting together as a community and saying you don't want certain things. Because I know for a fact in the suburb areas, on the north suburb, they get together at their community meetings and their community events and they voice and say, no, we do not want this big box company in our neighborhood because whatever, right? But they're there before, like he said, before the contract is signed. So you have to also really understand that it's a lot more to being involved in your neighborhood than just being and living in your neighborhood. You have to also be a productive member of society and bring up issues that are happening in your neighborhood. If your street lights are out, you have to call the city and say something. The city just not going to automatically come and fix y'all lights, right? So this is the type of stuff that we're talking about. Like you got to get involved, and especially as a business owner, your voice really has a chance to be heard when you take advantage of these things. So again, Chamber of Commerce, get in tune with your Chamber of Commerce for those of you that are business owners. All right, Chuck.
yeah. Another thing about the Chamber of Commerce is you can actually, if you have a profitable, well, it doesn't, I shouldn't say profitable. If you have a business that you can align yourself with the Chamber of Commerce, you're actually liable. Well, not to say liable. You are acceptable, and you have an opportunity to get first shot at these quote unquote contracts that are coming into play for the future. So again, let's say you have a construction company, and you find out that through your Chamber of Commerce that there's going to be a quote unquote big high rise building that is coming into your neighborhood. You can actually be in front of the line when it comes to those contracts being doled out. So now we're talking about an opportunity that you're getting before everyone else. Why? Because you are at these meetings and you see what's going on. You're making sure that you're known, and you're making sure that people know that I am here. This is me. This is the service that I provide. You do not go outside until you take care of the home first. And these are some of the things that we have to look at. And you're wondering why other people that don't look like us are coming in and building these high-rise buildings, and we are not represented because no one said anything to us, and we didn't say anything to them. And that's one of the things when the Chamber of Commerce comes into play, where you can voice and you can have enough people be like, okay, you want this building built, but we got to make sure that there's a representation of the labor and make sure that you're providing jobs for our people in the neighborhood. This
Yeah.
happened when you look at the city of Atlanta before they built the airport. The deal that they made, that airport would not have been built if the mayor at the time did not demand that a certain amount of that profits, a certain amount of those jobs went to us. It wasn't going to be built. So part of the contract was you had to hire within the city of Atlanta. You had to make sure that those people that were building that whole airport, a lot of it had to look like us. And these are things that you can actually do when it comes to going down to your Chamber of Commerce, making sure that these things are happening. But again, if you're not there and you're not represented, they're making plans without you no matter what. And then you're trying to figure out what happened. Well, you didn't say anything. We didn't know. So that's what it all boils down to. So okay, so we got that. Again, I talked about her name is Eloise. You find out that Eloise used to be the very first quote unquote stripper that Uncle Clifford graduated out of. Yeah, graduated. And it's like, okay. And she comes back and again she tells Uncle Clifford about what's going on. And what I like about Eloise is that Eloise said, I was just in the room. They didn't see me, but I was in the room. And I think about the scene, and I think about the scene that what we do when it comes to financial literacy. I think about the scene in the movie Hidden Figures, where the sister, what was the sister's name, Patrice? The sister, the heavyset sister.
And Hidden Figures, I don't know, because you threw that one at me.
All right. Well, there's a scene, there's a powerful scene, and if you haven't seen Hidden Figures, you guys got to see this stuff, and talk about it. Don't just watch it. Talk about it. What did you learn? There's a scene in Hidden Figure. I forget it. Her name will pop into my head. Well, what she did was she learned the computer. Octavia Spencer.
That's a real name, yeah.
Octavia Spencer, right? There's a scene where she learned the computer, right? And there's an important scene in the movie where she had all of the sisters in the room and they had their pads and their pens out and she taught them what she learned. And she was like, you girls are going to get this. You might not understand, but you got to get this. And what we do is as educators, as teachers, as FinLit instructors, it's like you guys have to get this.
Mm-hmm.
We're learning this stuff. We're bringing it back to you. You have to get this. And you might not understand right now, but somewhere along the line, it's going to click. So when Patrice is teaching you guys, and when Chuck Finance is sharing stuff with you guys might not get it right now today, but next week something's going to click. And you're going to go like, I just learned that lesson. Wait a minute, I just learned that lesson. So this is what we do this is why we're so passionate. This is why we're so adamant. This is why we're so emotional, because we know that the answers to some of the issues that you have is understanding financial literacy. We know it because we understand it. We can give you case studies. We can show you all of this stuff. And it's like, all you got to do is follow, listen, and follow through. And I guarantee you it's going to work. Don't do it like your cousins. What are their name, Patrice?
That's what we call them, the cousins.
Yeah, your cousins. Well, you know what? If you do this right, no. If you want a case, you got it. Now, I was watching something where a sister, the feds were on her, and 6 years later, they got her. 6 years later. So understand that if you are right and correct, you don't have an issue. But if you've done something unsavory or something shady, there is a possibility that you can be brought to light. I'm not saying that, it's called legitimizing your hustle, making
Yep.
sure everything is on the up and up. Is your paperwork correct? All of this is business ownership. This is why you guys, I'm holding back because I don't want to share some things, but I have something that I'm working on. And when it hits, I'm going to get blacklisted. But Patrice knows what I'm talking about because Patrice and I do something called peer review. I bounce off Patrice some of the things that I'm thinking just to make sure I'm not all the way out there. So I just want to share this, guys, with you. So understand that you guys, just because you are Black and have a business doesn't mean that you understand how to run a business. Some people are more affluent and understandable than others. Some people aren't. So if you are a business owner and you need to take an accounting class, take it. It's a tax write-off.
Yep.
If you are a business owner and don't understand cash flow and you don't understand when it comes to supply and demand, you need to start taking those workshops and taking those courses because
Yep.
that's going to help you understand your business, your workflow, how to actually run a business. And I see a lot of businesses go out of business because they don't understand. If you guys, the number one expense when it comes to business, if you have employees, is your payroll.
Bro. Yep.
That's your number one expense. And if you don't know that by now, something's wrong. Payroll is your number one expense. And what a lot of business owners fail to do is they fail to put themselves on the payroll. That's the sacrifice that they do. But if you understand that I have to put myself on the payroll so that if I only have one employee, that's the employee. Because if you don't pay yourself, how are you going to pay your rent at your house? Or your
Because many of them commingling their funds right now, they're using the business money for personal money and personal money for business and don't have separate bank accounts and
right.
QuickBooks or an accounting system. It's a lot of people are commingling.
And I'm just talking about accounting. I'm not, again, we got supply and demand. What happens if your supply doesn't come through? Do you have a backup? These are things that when it comes to a business owner, these are how it's called SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. These are the things that you have to look at. This is the planning stage. These are the things that you have to get around other people and you have to have these conversations because sometimes the situation that you have, somebody else already figured the problem out. And they'll give you the answer to that real quick instead of you banging your head up against the wall trying to figure out how to fix it. And this is where it comes to when you join the lab. So you got it. So I just wanted to share that with you. So when it comes to all of this, so what's happening with P-Valley is there is a group of people that are undercutting and they are doing undercover deals and they're cutting smaller people out. And I'm not going to use the word insignificant people, but they're cutting people out who are not aware. It just so happens that Haley, as a corporate raider, understood what was going on. She shared the information with Uncle Clifford. She didn't share everything. She just shared a little bit.
Right.
She just shared a little bit. And Haley is a slick chick. She is a slick chick. I'm looking at her. I'm like, wow. And Haley, she pulled in Mercedes. Mercedes lost the 20 stacks from her mom, right? Comes out of prison. She still wants to get the dance studio. She still wants to get her daughter back. So Haley is like, that chick needs something. She's vulnerable. I can use her. Haley, listen, I'm seeing Haley from a totally different light. And just because she light-skinned and look cute and all that, she is a snake, a corporate. I admire her. And I don't want to say it in a bad term, but it's like, okay.
She's paying attention. That's the thing. She's paying attention. And this is what we're saying.
She's
right?
Feeling a need.
Yeah. But just like you said, this is what we just explained. Clifford had it. This was his, right?
Yes.
And if it was so sentimental to him, as he keeps saying, then if it's something, and this is the lesson that you guys should be learning, if something is so-called sentimental to you and it has value, then you have to protect it. That
Yes.
means you have to protect it. You don't let it go get in a tax lien sale for $50,000, right? If this has sentimental value to you. And so that's what we're saying. And this is why we're bringing that up, because some people, like Miss Davis said, a lot of people are losing their grandparents' homes for sale for under 20,000, right? So this is why I always say don't sell grandmama house, right? Don't let grandmama house go in foreclosure or the tax lien sale. You all have to come together as a family and keep the property, keep the bill. You can't just let stuff go and be like, oh, we don't got the money, because the majority of the time you do got the money, or you can come up with the money, because you have enough time to usually come up with the money, right? But like you said, all these people have all of these different things going on, but they're coming into money. But what are they doing with the money when they come into it?
Right.
No one is actually thinking long term, like, let me invest this, let me buy some property, let me do certain things, right? Like Clifford should have been thinking, let me pay this 50 grand down so I can keep this. If it's so much sentimental value to me, then let it go on the chopping board, right? And so this is what we're talking about. Too many people who look like us deal with this on a regular daily basis. And so it's about rechanneling that energy of thinking to go and buy a $5,000 Louis bag when you can go and literally buy the house next door that's probably $5,000 on the auction, right? Which is a whole way more value, and you buy them bags when you got some money in the bank, not when you still broke, living check to check. But now your initial mindset when you get a lump sum of money is to go and buy cars, clothes, and rim mentality. That's the problem. And so you can't always say, oh, it's not fair. Life isn't fair. But also there's a lot of information out here that a lot of us are not taking advantage of, or you're not even looking into it. It's passing you by just because you are lacking mentally on financial literacy, right? Because before I go buy a bag, baby, I'm about to be on this auction site on how many mobile homes or how many cribs I can go get right now, because the hood is still lit right now, all right? If y'all can go and come up and get you 5, 10, 15, 20,000, it's a lot of property still available in a lot of these communities. So it ain't no excuses.
Yes. Yes. Now, you're absolutely correct, Patrice. If you and I ran the pink, I would do the operations, you would do the admin. And what I mean by that is, if you and I ran the pink, promotions, everything, all of that, and everything at the end of the night, I'm giving everything to you. I'm like, make sure everything is paid.
Money is accounted for, right? Yeah.
Make sure everything, all the bills are paid, blah, 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 blah. Because your strength is that. My strength is turning the party up. You know what I mean? But that's what it's all about, knowing that. And I want you guys to understand that even if you're lacking a skill, align yourself with people who can give you, or that can help you move to the next level, and let them know that, listen, the relationship that we have is, I don't know what I'm doing, I need your help. This is a trust factor when it comes into play. So I have a situation right now where I'm actually going to be mentoring someone and helping them. They came into a lump sum of money, and yesterday I had a big meeting, and I'm going to help them protect the cash that they just came into. And I said to them, they're 40, no children, not married. And I told them outright, because total transparency, you're asking me to protect the money from everybody else, which is fine. But I'm letting you know I'm going to protect the money from you too. And I had to explain that to them, because it's like, it's not that you will not be able to have access to the money, but you're asking me to help you protect this. So I'm going to make sure that you have no children, you're not married, whatever, whatever. I'm going to make sure that you can't blow this whenever. That's what you're asking me to do. And we agreed to that. So he understands my role, and I understand his role. And these are the things that when we talk about business and all of this, So when we're looking at this, when we're understanding what's going on, when we're understanding what we don't know, and we're getting around people that do know, we listen, we take notes, and we make sure that we implement what they're saying when it comes to that. That's why you got to join the lab so you can get this quality information and quality data. Got it?
Yeah.
Patrice, I got some people that I can bring to the lab. We can do special. We can do special. I have a good friend of mine who's taught me a lot of stuff, and he does supply chain developments, and he has a trucking business, an interstate trucking business. So maybe one day we'll open up a room and have him come and speak. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
just
Yeah.
want to let you know, yeah, he has an interstate trucking business, so he owns the trucks and all that stuff, and supplied. He does all of that. So yeah,
Okay.
but I'm just letting the group know that you're in the right place. If you're here with us, you are in the place that you're supposed to be, and it's all up to you. That if you want this, join the lab. If you want this, come on the calls. If you want this, hit the smash button, hit the notification button, all of that. If you want this, we got it for you, but we got to make sure that you want it, and you got to let us know what it is. Because if not, I'll go back in my back cave, back to the lab.
Right. Study hall, we do we do study hall, and we do have different speakers. These first couple of ones we are rolling with Chuck the finance guy, because starting next month Chuck is going to be real busy.
Yes.
So Chuck is working with us right now for these couple of weeks. And then in a couple of weeks you guys will see other experts in their fields as well. So right, study hall is within the lab. We broadcasted YouTube today. I think I also put it on my Facebook channel today as well too. But we broadcasted on YouTube. But usually we're inside study hall in the lab. So and then we also do lunch and learns every Wednesday. We got a couple of things going on in the lab, like Chuck said. So if you guys are looking for a community, a membership, the lab is a monthly membership. It's $47 a month. You can text the lab community. I have the scroller, the sticker there at the bottom. So, and text the lab to 312-680-5468. Again, you can text the lab to 312-680-5468. That other number, you guys, we had to change that 855 number. It was giving us technical issues, I guess, with that toll-free number. So we had to get a local number. So if you text us prior to that old number, scrap that and make sure that you text the new number, which is the 312-680-5468. You can text the lab. And then if you are interested in just being on our email list and becoming being on the email list and just getting updates and things like that, then you can text family to that same number. So the lab is if you want to get into our private membership that Chuck and other experts speak in. And then family, you can text family if you just want to get in a general email list or inbox to be notified on, classes, events, workshops. We have a couple of things that we're planning for this fourth quarter. So, all right, Chuck, we've been on here an hour. So do you want to wrap up or have any last minute things or anything that you want them to prepare for a rewatch for next week when you come back on?
Okay, next week we'll talk about the next 4 episodes, and then we're going to be hitting hard because this is only a four class session.
Right, we're doing 4 weeks.
Yes,
This is the second week of the 4-week session.
We can do that, and Patrice will decide if we're going to continue this, and we can do movies, and we can do things like that. My contact information, you can hit me at Instagram, Chuck Finance on Instagram. If you're in the New York area, we're having something on Saturday, like a meet and greet. If you want to come through my office in Manhattan, just hit me on Instagram, or you can hit me email the third option 2015@gmail.com. You can hit me there. And this is going to be a meet and greet. Just have fun on Saturday. If you're in the New York area, if you want to slide through and meet some people, have some fun, and all that good stuff. So other than that, if you have questions, hit us up, let us know. And yeah, if you're having issues, give it Patrice, get in the lab, and let's get those things answered. And you'd be surprised what you can do with the right people around you and how you can move forward and all that good stuff. So yes, thank you, Patrice.
All righty. So we are rolling out. I put Chuck's information in the comments for you guys on YouTube. You can also go back and watch the replay of the video on YouTube. It's under my channel, Patrice L. Stewart. We do keep the replay up only for 24 hours, again, because this is for the lab members only. So if you guys don't catch it live, then by this time tomorrow, it would not be on any other platforms. Okay. So make sure that you go back and check that out. And then Chuck and I will see you next week. This time again, Thursday at 7.
All right. Good. Enjoy. Stay positive. Bye. Thanks,
Thank you,
Patrice.
Chuck.
Bye.